Hi and welcome back to my channel, or hello for the first time. I'm Valerie Geary. Books are my lifeblood. I read them, I write them, I buy them just to smell them. And today I'm going to be doing a combination book haul and a monthly reading wrap-up. I hauled a lot of books in April. Some of them I bought, some of them I got for free from little free libraries in our neighborhood. I also read a fairly decent amount, so I'm going to combine the two, the haul and the wrap-up. So first, let me tell you about the books that I hauled, and I'm going to start with the Little Free Library finds. The first one is The Girls of Atomic City by Denise Kiernan. This is a historical book. It's a nonfiction book. It's about women who live in a secret small town in Tennessee at the height of World War II. These women worked in factories, they worked as secretaries, they worked as chemists, but they couldn't talk about the work they were doing. And I'm pretty sure they were helping to make the atomic bomb, Atomic City. This is a piece of history that I don't know very much about, and so I'm interested in reading it and finding out more. The next one I picked up from a little free library is The Key of Light by Nora Roberts. I have been wanting to read some more Nora Roberts before I die, and when I saw this one in the box, I was like, yeah, I'll take this home. She's such a prolific and beloved writer. I feel like there's a lot I could learn from her. I've only read one Nora Roberts, I think, and I don't remember what it was. It was so long ago, and it might have even been this one, but I don't think so. I think it was a different trilogy that I was reading. But even if it was this one, clearly I don't remember it. I read it so long ago that it wouldn't hurt to read it again. So this is the first in a trilogy about fate that brings three different women together to unlock their deepest desires. This first book is about Mallory Price. I guess her life has hit kind of a snag and she gets invited to this rich person's house. There are two other women there. There's only these three women there as guests, and this person who holds this party, I guess, basically tells them that they're maybe demigoddesses and they have to go on this adventure to find three different keys to kind of unlock the mysteries of their past. Yes, please. So do I have any cozy mystery fans in the house? Gotta get a look at this cover. It's too cute. I've been wanting to add more cozy mysteries into my reading life, and this one just looked too fun to pass up. There are some great puns in the back description of this book. Andy Greatorex is robbed of 2 buckets of oyster seed worth $35,000. She wonders if somebody's trying to muscle her out of her business. Could it be a rival oyster farmer? A steamed former employee? Oh, the puns just keep going. So this is part of a series and there are a lot of books that come before it, so I'm still gonna dive into the middle here. I think typically with this kind of mystery series they can stand alone. I may not get all the nuances of the character relationships, but I think I could still have a lot of fun with this one. For a complete change of pace and the last book that I picked up from a local little free library, it's IQ by Joe Ide. This is a crime novel with a bit of a darker vein. It's set in Los Angeles and it's about a young man who's a high school dropout, and he takes on cases that he feels the police can't or won't investigate. This seems like it could be a gritty, fast-paced thriller, and I've heard nothing but good things about this one, so I'm really looking forward to cracking it open. And it's in really good condition for being a little free library book, so I feel like this is the best find of the month. I bought 2 physical books this month. One for my book club. This is Blood Orange by Harriet Tice. We're doing something a little bit different this year with my book club. We've decided to separate the year into quarters, and then each quarter we're going to be reading from a different genre, and this quarter that we're reading right now is mystery, suspense, thrillers, that kind of thing. This is the one we picked for May, so it's going on my May TBR pile. It's about a woman who seems to have it all together. She has a loving husband and a cute daughter. Her career's on the rise. She's an attorney and she's about to defend her first murder case. But the problem is the client she's defending says she did it. Yes, she stabbed her husband, but something isn't adding up for our main character here. A legal thriller with a side of psychological suspense. That sounds like something that could be right in my wheelhouse. The second physical book I bought is Fresh Brewed Murder by Emmeline Duncan. This is another cozy mystery, and I couldn't resist it because it's set in Portland. The cover is adorable, and I know the author. She's another local Portland author, and we've met a couple times at different events. This is an autographed copy. Now, according to the author, according to Emmeline, this is kind of cozy. I think there are some darker elements to it, which, you know, that combination sounds fantastic to me. This is about a barista who is opening a new coffee cart in Portland, but then she finds a dead body in front of her cart. The dead man is one of her very first customers, and of course the barista becomes a suspect, so she needs to find the real killer before her whole life implodes. Coffee, Portland, amateur sleuth, I'm all in. So that's it for the physical books, but I also hauled a lot of ebooks this month. Some of them were free, authors were giving them away. Others I got because my dad gave me a gift card for my birthday. Thanks, Dad. Let me go through some of those. So I picked up Girls Across the Bay by Emerald O'Brien. And this is a book about two girls who grew up in foster care and they kind of become very close and more like sisters to one another. They're reunited as adults as they try and build this family life, this future for themselves that they always wanted growing up. But then a woman is found dead and there may be a connection to the two girls' past and their dark secrets are coming back to threaten them. So yeah, that sounds pretty good. Sisters, murder, dark secrets, dark past. That is my jam. The next one I actually won through a Goodreads giveaway. They Will Be Coming For Us by Kim Catanzarite. And this one looks pretty interesting. It's about a young astronomer who works for an aerospace company. She marries her soulmate, but the family's kind of weird, kind of eccentric, and doesn't have very good social skills, and she's having trouble fitting in with his family. The family's pressuring the couple to have a baby, and also I think there may be some kind of alien element involved. Honestly, I can't wait to read this one. Right after I stop this video, I'm gonna go read that book. The next one I picked up is The 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle by Stuart Turton. One of the pitches for this book is Agatha Christie meets Groundhog's Day. That sounds like a winner. Basically, the victim, Evelyn Hardcastle, will die over and over again every day until the detective figures out who killed her. And I guess maybe he goes inside different bodies every day, so he's seeing the murder from a different perspective each time. That sounds really intriguing. Okay, this one sounds great. This one is Conviction by Denise Mina. A woman's husband leaves her unexpectedly. He takes their daughter and runs off with the woman's best friend. Scandalous. The woman, to distract herself, starts listening to true crime podcasts, and she's listening to this one and she's like, oh wait, I know that person. And then she inserts herself into this investigation and decides to dig around and kind of try and solve the case herself. I love a book about a podcast. Bonus points for this book being set in Scotland. So the next three books are part of a trilogy. They are Good Sam, Perfectly Good Crime, and The Good Stranger by Detta Meserve. I'm sorry if I butchered that name. So this entire trilogy was on sale and I bought all three. It sounds like it's a feel-good mystery series with a TV news reporter at its center. Kate Bradley is a reporter for LA TV News, and the first book she is investigating this, not a crime, but someone leaves money on various people's doorstep, and people don't know where this money came from, who this anonymous donor is, and so this Kate Bradley, the TV reporter, sets out to try and figure out where this money came from. So someone's leaving $100,000 on people's front porches. Can we get that to happen in real life? My address is. The second book, I think, involves a high-tech heist, and the third book, again, involves someone helping people out who may not have the best intentions. So these might end up being a little bit too fluffy for my taste. I tend to like my stories with a little bit more grit, but I'm willing to try them out. The final ebook that I purchased this month is Once Two Sisters by Sarah Warburton. This is Sarah's debut novel, and it's a book about sisters, but they have kind of a tenuous bond. I love a good sister story. I'm all about the sister books. In this one, the sisters have been estranged for several years, and one of them goes missing, and the other one thinks it's like a stunt that she's just messing around, but she goes home to try and find out what happened. And people blame her for her sister's disappearance, so she has to kind of get herself out of it. There appear to be some dark family secrets lurking beneath the surface, and I am dying to find out what. Whew, so that it's quite the stack of books that I hauled this month. I'll put them in my TBR jar so I don't forget about them, but I am going to try and get through as many of these as possible in the next few months. Although I did also get a giant stack of library books the other day, so I have a lot of reading to do. So those are the books I brought into my life. Now let's talk about the books that I read in April. The first one was a book that I picked out of my TBR jar. It is 11/22/63 by Stephen King. I did an entire reading vlog video about my experience reading this giant chunkster of a book. Short version is, I didn't really like it that much. It was okay. I finished it, so it was entertaining enough for me to read all 850 pages, but not my favorite. I honestly thought that 11/22/63 was going to be the only book that I read in April because it was so big, but it was a pretty quick read. The next book I read in April was for my book club. It is the first book in the Maisie Dobbs series, and Maisie Dobbs is a long-running historical mystery series, and this is the first volume. I bought this from my library bookstore where they, there's all these terrible stickers on it, so you can't really see the cover very well, so let me put up the virtual cover for you now. Maisie Dobbs is by Jacqueline Winspear. It's a cozy mystery with a lot of history. It is set between the end of World War I and the beginning of World War II, and Maisie Dobbs is a single woman who moves to London, I think, to open up a private detective agency. That sounds fantastic. Her first client is a man who wants to know if his wife's cheating on him. There was a lot to love about Maisie as a character. I found her enduring, and I'm interested in reading more of this series, but the first book didn't really grab hold of me the way I wanted it to or the way I was expecting it to. It had a lot more history than I was expecting, and the mystery didn't really hold up for me, but I still really liked it. I still thought it was a nice change in pace from my normal reading. The next book I finished in April was Migrations by Charlotte McConaughey. This book crushed me. It is gorgeous and aching and rich with layers and metaphors. It's poetic, but also manages to have this pulse-pounding narrative that just pulls you in and won't let you go. So it's set in a near future world that is very close to ours, close enough to be rather disturbing as you're reading it. In this near future, nearly every animal is either extinct or about to become extinct, and the only animals that are really still in existence are the ones we keep as pets or the ones we raise as food. Basically, humans have done what we are doing now, which is ravaging our planet and eating everything. Migration centers around a woman named Franny. Franny is on a mission to follow the final migration of the last of the Arctic terns from Antarctica to the Arctic Circle, so from north to south. She puts tracking devices on 3 terns in Antarctica and talks her way onto a fishing boat and convinces this ragtag crew of fishermen to take her south and follow the terns. And they agree to do this because they are looking for the golden catch. There aren't very many fish left in the sea, and this fishing boat is after this golden catch. So they agree to take Franny and follow the terns, and the whole book kind of centers around this adventure and this journey that they take together. That's the main thread, this quest, this migration. Interwoven into this is the story of Franny herself and her backstory and the secrets that she's been keeping and how she got to this place and who she is. There's a magical quality to this book. It is not magic. There's nothing magical that happens, but the way that it's told is just kind of that magical feeling. It gave me chills. It's a book I'm going to be talking about and recommending to people for years to come. The next book I finished in April is Killer Content by Olivia Blake. This was exactly what I needed to read after the heartbreak of Migrations. It's a cozy mystery. The theme of April is cozy mystery, apparently. So it's a cozy mystery set in Brooklyn about a young woman who has recently moved from Louisiana to Brooklyn, New York. She's trying to find her place here. She's only living here for a couple of months in her aunt's apartment while her aunt's away on a European vacation. So she comes from this small Louisiana town. She's a little bit fish out of water. She's working in this cafe that serves beer, sells books, has author readings, and makes, delicious food. So she's working in this cafe where there's this cantankerous cafe owner and an old dog who always gets in the way. And of course, a cute cop comes on the scene because one of her coworkers dies after falling off a bridge. Her coworker is a famous YouTuber who makes soap. The cops say that it was an accident and they kind of close the case, but the main character, Odessa Dean, thinks that something more is going on, and she kind of does her own little investigation. I found myself wanting more tension, more drama, more stakes from this book. There were a lot of fun and wholesome things that happened, and I really liked the characters, but the mystery itself wasn't very intriguing or very engaging. I would recommend it if you want something on the lighter side, something playful with a side of cute. Okay, so the next book I read was nonfiction. It is called Crime Beat. It's by Michael Connelly. I technically haven't finished this one, actually. I read about 150 pages and I think I'm gonna skim the rest. Michael Connelly is a famous crime fiction writer, but before he was writing crime novels, he worked as a journalist on the Crime Beat. He was an investigative journalist. He wrote about crimes specifically in Los Angeles. And he takes a lot of that experience into his novels, into his fiction. And Crime Beat was a collection of his old articles. When I picked this up, I thought maybe there would be some additional insight or some additional narrative about his work as a journalist and kind of his takeaways from it, but there wasn't really anything like that. Sometimes the articles are interesting enough to read on their own, but a lot of the times they're very repetitive or a little bit dry. You know, it's just reading a newspaper article. Yes, on one hand, it is an interesting collection of historical documents. You kind of see what was happening in Los Angeles, especially in the police departments in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, which has its own, you know, unique history. In that sense, it was interesting. But as like a standalone read, as like something just to like entertain or educate or challenge, there wasn't really a whole lot there. So it might be more of a book that you pick through and kind of look for specific articles, or like I'm gonna do, skim through it and kind of get a feel for the overall sense of time and place. The final book I read this month is My Brilliant Life by Aran Kim. And this is a book that came out of South Korea. It was originally published in South Korea and then was translated into English by Chi-young Kim. It is about a young man who is suffering progeria, which is a genetic disease that causes children to age prematurely and rapidly. The main character in this book is Aram, and he's 16 when the book starts, and he is basically at the end of his life. But he's still trying to find joy with the time that he has left. He's still trying to find and make connections with the people in his life, with the people he loves. And I think that's what makes this book beautiful and what made it work for me. It was the humanity of it. There wasn't necessarily a driving narrative. There are some twists in here that were kind of interesting, but really this was a quiet book, an introspective book, a book about people. Aram is looking back on his short life and trying to figure out how his parents fell in love, how he came to be, what is existence, what is being human, what is growing old, what is being young. He asks a lot of like hard questions that, you know, as he's facing down his mortality, he feels he wants answers to these questions. There were things about this book that felt a little unfinished to me, but that actually fits perfectly well with the theme of a young person dying. So if you're looking to expand your reading beyond US borders and you can handle a book about a sick kid, which is layered enough to be about more than just a sick kid, then check this one out. Okay, that's it. Those are all the books I hauled in April, and those are all the books I read in April. Thanks for sticking with me through the end. I'm gonna go put the books I hauled into the TBR jar now, though I hope to be able to read a lot of them sooner rather than later. Let me know in the comments if you've read any of these books and what you thought about them, or let me know if you are going to add any of these to your TBR. I'll see you next time.